Welcome back to the Growth Hack Franchise Marketing Unleashed. I'm Marcus, founder of AdCloud, and today we're pulling back the curtain a bit because everyone talks about strategy, systems, scaling, but no one really talks enough about what it feels like to lead when you're not 100% sure of yourself. I think confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build over time. And for most business owners, that comes with trial, error, and a few sleepless nights. So today we're talking about how to lead even when you're learning on the fly and how to build the kind of confidence that shows up before the results do. As always, I've got Mackenzie here, AdCloud's creative director. So let's get to it.
All right, Marcus, let's rewind for a second. Take us back. Where were you when you first started AdCloud? Not just professionally, but mentally. Were you fired up and fearless or winging it and hoping no one noticed?
I believe that in certain instances, unless you're a doctor doing surgery on me, please don't fake it till you make it. For all the doctors out there learning from ChatGPT. But anyway, for me, I think there's some of us that are a little different. I am a very optimistic person, but I'm also risk taker in life, just in general. I've always been that way since I was a kid. I've always had this just knack of, man, we'll figure it out in everything I've done. But that's not to say, hey, I'm bulletproof, that doubt never creeps in. I think naturally, when we started like exploring at Cloud, I had confidence in the sense of like the vision and what I wanted to do. But naturally, you have this thing that's like, but what if, right? What if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work out the way that I think it's going to? And I think that's something that I battled with for a long time of, hey, I have this pinnacle. I want to get to this place. I want it to be at this level of success. I want these types of results for the clients. Am I doing enough? Am I doing it the right way? What do people think? All the things that we all are semi aware of that keep us from doing a lot of things.
I feel like, though, you have to have that a little bit in your mindset. Do you not? If you don't have that, then you're not really pushing yourself to be better. Am I wrong on
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I think there's a healthy line. I think there's a healthy line that you have to walk because I think those can also be crippling. I think for a majority they are crippling. I think there's so many people that I've heard from that are like, "Oh gosh, I want to start this business. I've always wanted to do that," or "I wish I could be like you and start all these different things, but I'm just terrified like of will it work?" And who knows? Sometimes it might, sometimes it may not. I'm not talking about anything that's not been talked about before. If you don't try, you never know. And then 10 years from now, you're sitting there wondering, what if I would have done that? But I do think it's a healthy line to walk. Whereas if you don't have those, then oftentimes you've become complacent. You're really comfortable in what you're doing. And that is a place where it's not necessarily a bad thing to a certain extent, but it means that you're not pushing the boundaries. You're not trying new things. We're not talking like in the 9 to 5 because that's a little bit different. Though I think don't go to work for 8 hours a day and then come home and don't spend any time on yourself and on your own endeavors. I am a big believer in that. Spend some time investing in yourself and figure those things out. I think for most business owners, you naturally have to have those fears to push the boundaries across the board on everything, whether that's new product, staff testing, marketing. You have to have those things and you have to know how to manage those and manage expectations and being able to say, if it doesn't work, I'll figure something else out. This isn't the end all. This is just a stepping stone to being great, to finding new paths. So if you look at everyone who has failed in the past, right, there's so many things as a society we would have never figured out if people didn't come and fail first. And so I think that is where you have to start to understand those things. And then naturally along the way, there's a confidence that builds. And I think you start to get this confidence within yourself of, okay, I've done this. So like when we launch companies now, you have a healthy reserve of what ifs and understandings of how much we can spend. But because you're more confident, or I'm more confident in my ability to do certain things, I have a little bit more confidence to go out and say, okay, yeah, let's launch 2 more businesses next month. And they should work. And if they don't, we know when to turn them off before it's too late. But it's a lot of trial and error and building blocks to that, but I think everyone should be excited for that. Be excited to fail. You should want to fail. Yeah, fail fast, learn, pick up, cry for about 5 minutes, and then move on and figure out what went wrong. Like it doesn't have to be the stopping point, just figure it out. It builds a lot of confidence, but there's nothing that ever comes to me where I'm like, "No, there's just no." There's so many people that shut down, there's no way. This is it. It's the end of the world. Sky's falling. Chicken Little, right? It's like the sky, it's all over. But, like, to me, I'm always like, "Oh, there's gotta be a solution. There has to be a solution. There's no issue that there's not a solution to. I just haven't found it yet. So let's just workshop it and figure it out and move forward and forget what happened." But I think a lot of people, it just cripples them, and that, I think, is what has created this, like, culture of fear of, "You should or should I launch?" You either choose to crumble, you're forced, or you naturally build up an appetite for risk versus reward, and I think that's where we have to find the balance.
So, with starting AdCloud, at what point would you say that you started feeling confident as a business owner? Was that right from the beginning? Did it take a little while? Was there anything that triggered that? How did that play out?
I think I had a fair amount of confidence in the sense of, like, my ability to produce results just because of what I had been doing in the franchising world and things of that nature, but I think it probably took the better part of 8 months to a year of client feedback and navigating, like, staff, because you can feel unconfident in many areas. But, I think the better part of a year to really feel like, "Okay, this is my mission and vision, and if it doesn't align with you, it's okay." And I think when you start to reach that pinnacle, you start to become okay with saying no, turning away people and saying, like, "We wanna work with brands that can not only buy into our vision, but allow us to help them build theirs with little to no oversight's maybe not the right word, but I think with trust and just going in and saying, "Look, maybe you don't have the mindset as a business owner to fully trust AdCloud to take this on." And that's a place that we don't love to be because then it creates a lot of back and forth. Be confident in what you're hiring us to do, and we'll take it from there. But I think when you find yourself in a place where you can start to say no and turn away opportunities that on paper look good, this probably isn't a good partnership for my brand and company, that's when you've reached that point. But I would say maybe about a year of reaching, like, that point of being able to walk into a room and say, "This is AdCloud, this is who we are, and we win." And that takes a lot of hearing from other people and just different things. And thankfully, I've had many mentors in my life where I've been able to see them walk into a room and just own the room and control the room and not worry about what Sarah over here is thinking. Just go in with that confidence. And I think a lot of people are fearful when they go into a room. They're like, "Oh gosh, all these people know what they're doing." They're like, everyone in that room has been in the same spot you are at one point. None of them started there. Like, they all have been there, and let's be honest, most people around that table are probably faking it a little bit. So it's okay. I think it's okay to go in and be yourself, but it's a mental game. 9 times out of 10, nothing is as bad as we make it up to be in our mind. Nothing is as scary. No one cares as much as we actually think they do. Like, that is if you look at, like, the enigma that is social media, we always think that people care, and most of the time, people just could care less. Or it's the flip side, "Oh, I'm not gonna post this because nobody cares about it." No one cares. No one wants to see that, and people like it and love it, and people connect with it. That is, like, one of those perfect scenarios where sometimes you just post it and put it out there, and what's the worst that can happen? Care enough, but don't care too much.
That's good. I like that. I know you mentioned some of the people that you've watched, that they can come into a room and you just know that they're a leader. But what exactly does being a confident leader look like to you? Is it how you show up? Is it how you make decisions? Is it something more subtle? What does that look like for you?
I think the hardest show of confidence for leaders is being able to have confidence in your team and your staff and trusting that they can get things done without you, being able to remove yourself from the picture and know that you have built a team that can move the needle without you stepping in and being involved. Again, I think that's a long game. I think it takes a lot to get there because everything we do is a passion project and you love it. You built this thing, and so you naturally wanna hold on to it tight, but we're seeing more frequently now that CEOs are exiting, founders are exiting. They're not pulling them along the way, they are in the back cheerleading them on. There is more value in having a team of 10 do all of these things than me as an individual, one person trying to be a one-man band. Some of you may not have a team. You may have 1 staff member. If you can't display that confidence, it's gonna be really hard to sell the product, to continue to sell. So you have to find that and really just be confident in what you're doing. And every no is a pathway to a yes. Just go at it. Now, don't be arrogant. There is a fine line between confident and arrogant, and we all do it, but every no will humble you a little bit more and, teach you that you're not as good as maybe you think. Taking time to reflect, self-reflection, what am I doing? How am I doing it? How do people perceive me potentially? If you're having business meetings or sales pitch calls, play it back and look at yourself and think, what would I think? Did I speak confidently? And last but definitely not least, like, read a book. There's plenty of self-help books out there. There's so many. There is a lot that you can go and explore and replicate. There are so many opportunities to put yourselves in room with people who have made it to bigger stages than you are currently. There's so many meetups, there's all of these things. Now, I'm not saying everyone in that room is great. Just because your company does a couple $1,000,000 a year doesn't mean you're great. But then watch their leadership style, how they engage, with the things they say, how they interact. I've come across many of them who are great visionaries, terrible leaders. So, I mean, like, everyone has their pros and cons.
So I think it sounds like it's also not only self-confidence that you have to build, but also self-awareness. I think a lot of people lack that of like you saying, maybe you're not a great leader, but you're a good visionary. If you don't know that about yourself,
I think you can be a great entrepreneur, businessman that's not a great leader. I don't think entrepreneurship is having the concept and the idea. There's no one size fits all. We're not gonna be great at everything, right? Like, self-awareness would be like, I wanna try to be better because I'm not a great X, Y, or Z. I need to be better at that. Some people are just fantastic leaders. Then you have some people who are great cheerleaders. Like, they can come in, they can rile the room up, they keep the staff happy, they have an energy level of 40, just super high energy, and then you have me. Little more monotone, little more like, we're groovy, it's good, everything's good, but probably not gonna see me doing backflips off the roof. So understand where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are that you should work on, but delegate to someone who has already perfected that, because likely that person that's great at customer support may not be a great leader. And so I think being self-aware enough and non-prideful enough to take a step back and say, okay, this is my place, this is where I need to be, and I need to adjust for the betterment of the company